Today we're going to be talking about a pure evil YouTuber that was just arrested for some truly heinous stuff. This is not a goofy topic at all. This is going to take that smile off of your face faster than if you had watched a James Corden clip. This is the story about Ruby Frank of the very popular parental advice slash parenting blogger slash family YouTube channel 8 Passengers. Which is already a really creepy name, by the way. 8 Passengers does sound like some kind of cult. 8 Passengers sounds like the title to a horror movie. And unfortunately, that's not far off because the woman behind this YouTube channel, Ruby Frank, is basically a monster out of a horror film. Ruby Frank and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, were arrested this week, and they're being charged with 6 counts of child abuse. Now, Ruby wasn't alone with the 8 Passengers YouTube channel. Her husband, Kevin, was also prominently featured in there as well. But for some reason, he's not mentioned in any of this right now, aside from a couple of mentions that he's just trying to keep the family together and help the children through this difficult time with Ruby being arrested. But I can't imagine a world where Kevin was somehow oblivious to all of the abuse the children suffered in that household. There's no way Kevin didn't know what was happening. Unless he's an absolute fucking lobotomite zombie, there's no way he didn't know what the children are being subjected to. I just can't imagine a single multiverse possibility that Kevin is squeaky clean in this situation, just totally innocent, had no idea what was happening to the kids in that house. Especially considering in 2020, Kevin was front and center fighting on the front lines to defend himself and his wife against abuse allegations, defending their parental style. I'll go into a bit more detail on that situation a bit towards the end of the video, but basically, some viewers were really concerned for the safety of the children based on what was being presented in some of the 8 Passengers videos, as well as what was being discussed, such as taking away one of the kids' food privileges, as well as one of the kids' bedroom privileges, and eventually they tried to get CPS involved, and CPS did get loosely involved, but the whole time Kevin was defending the actions that they had been taking with their parenting. So I don't believe that he didn't know about all of the abuse that was being suffered in that household by the children. But since right now it's only Ruby and Jody who have been arrested, I'll focus on them. They go over some of the stories and videos that she would proudly post on her channel, where she just openly admits, proudly, almost bragging, about torturing her children. She built a reputation as being a strict parent with a strict parental style, but strict is not the right word for it. This isn't like some kind of teacher that's like, hey class, settle down, no fishy business, we got work to do here. And this isn't even strict like, you know, your fucking basic training drill sergeant or anything. This, the way she treats her children is like the way prisoners are treated at Guantanamo Bay. She fucking posted a video where she was laughing about not feeding her daughter any food because she was punishing her. And she even said that she hopes nobody gives her daughter any food because if she did, then the lesson wouldn't be learned. She was starving her daughter as a means of punishment. And it only gets worse. I learned about this on stream, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the clips and go over some of the stories that were shared. I think it's important to mention that this was not some small obscure channel. The content they were posting wasn't just being banished to the shadow realm immediately with no eyes ever being on it, no one ever seeing it. This was a huge channel. 8 Passengers had 2.5 million subscribers. I know it's become somewhat of a trend in journalism to try and like clickbait headlines with things like famous TikToker arrested for DUI and jiggling butt cheeks to Doja Cat Say So on the side of the road. And you read that and it's very eye-catching because it's like famous TikToker, oh shit, well who was it? And then you'll read the person's name in the article about the crime and then you'll check their TikTok page and it turns out they have 50 followers and all they do is speculate on anime power levels, and it's like, well, not exactly a famous TikToker, but it's 2023, so everyone has some kind of social media presence and journalists will oftentimes just connect it to that. So famous TikToker does this or famous Twitter shitposter does that, even though they're not exactly a famous TikToker or this and that. But in this case, it really is a famous YouTuber, a very large YouTube channel that gave tons of parental advice for a very long time, had a very successful family vlog, and then even went on with Jody Hildebrandt to start doing life coaching and general life advice. All the while, she'd been abusing her children the entire fucking time. I don't know, there's something about that picture that's super eerie. It reminds me of something out of like Midsummer. A Utah mother known for chronicling her strict parenting style was arrested after one of her children ran to a neighbor's house seeking help. Her channel name was 8 Passengers. They had 2.2 million subscribers. Ms. Frank hosted the now-defunct YouTube channel 8 Passengers, where she posted videos about her parenting approach with her 6 children, including refusing them food as a form of punishment. Wait, and she did this on YouTube? My
kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
The red flags were all there. She was hiding in plain sight. That's actual torture. You can't do that. Miss Frank and Miss Hildebrandt were each charged on Friday with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, according to the Washington County Attorney's Office. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison and a fine up to $10,000. According to the affidavit, Miss Frank's 12-year-old son, identified as RF, climbed out of a window of Miss Hildebrandt's home and went to a neighbor's house on Wednesday morning asking for food and water. The child had duct tape on his ankles and wrists, as well as open wounds. He appeared to be emaciated and malnourished. This is some pure evil shit. The neighbor called the police, who then found Miss Frank's 10-year-old daughter, Eve, at Miss Hildebrandt's. She also appeared to be malnourished, the affidavit said. Both children were taken to the hospital. The boy was placed on a medical hold due to his deep lacerations from being tied up with rope and from his malnourishment, according to the affidavit. Oh my god. At one point, Miss Frank had 2.5 million subscribers to her channel, following the lives of her 6 children. In 2020, Chad Frank, then 15, told YouTube viewers in one family video that he had been sleeping on a beanbag for months and that he had lost his bedroom after playing a prank on his little brother. How did she get away with it for so long? If this was literally in their YouTube video. She, on camera in her TikTok or whatever, said that she denies her children food as a form of punishment, and then apparently one of the kids also revealed that he had lost bedroom privileges for months after playing a prank. How? How did this persist? This should have went straight to prison. Do not pass go. In one video recorded by Miss Frank and reposted to TikTok, she said her daughter Eve's teacher had called her to say Eve had come to school without lunch. Miss Frank said the teacher was uncomfortable with her being hungry, but that Eve was responsible for making her own lunch, and that the natural outcome is she is just going to be hungry. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch, because then she's not going to learn from it. And this is all on video. She said this on video. How was CPS not alerted sooner? Oh, and apparently there was even a bunch of like petitions from the community to try and get them taken down because it was actual evidence of child abuse. But it looks like none of that was taken seriously. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up. Kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Oh, this was one of the children. Sherry Frank, now a junior at BYU, posted about her mother's arrest on Instagram saying justice is being served. So one of the kids was trying to alert CPS and the police and they didn't do anything? How would you not trust one of the victims of it? Especially when there's so much documented evidence on their own fucking YouTube channel. Now, I mentioned on stream how surprising it was that this hadn't happened sooner when she openly posted content about some of the abuse she was inflicting upon her children. And it turns out a lot of the community that was aware of this channel was actively trying to get CPS involved, especially when it came to that beanbag incident where one of the children made it clear that they had been sleeping on a beanbag for an extended period of time because they had lost their bedroom due to that prank that they had played on one of the siblings. So CPS did get loosely involved at some point, but Ruby was somehow able to like brush them off and nothing came from it somehow, which blows my mind because This isn't one of those situations with hindsight being 2020. This isn't one of those things where you can just say, man, if we only knew then what we know now, we could have really helped them. Because this is so clear cut. Like, this should have been a no-brainer that something was wrong. For an authority figure to look at any of these videos, it should have been a massive, alarming situation. Fucking sirens should have been blaring. The second that Ruby was proudly gloating, wiggling her finger, celebrating her incredible parenting of just depriving her children of food as a punishment, that should have been enough to get authorities involved and learn about what was actually happening here with the Ruby Frank household. It's super infuriating that this went on for as long as it did, when a lot of people did keep trying to push this forward to CPS to get them to take action, knowing that something was wrong and knowing what Ruby was posting about and saying was not okay. It's not strict parenting, it's actual abuse. By every possible definition. This is not something where it's like, builds character, toughen up, sport, rub some dirt in it. You know, you're not getting breakfast. In fact, you're also not getting your bedroom. It's going to put some hair on your chest. You're going to learn something today. You know, it's not anything like that. It's fucking abuse. This isn't parenting. I can't believe that it went on for so long. I'm happy now finally something is being done, but I feel fucking horrible for the kids in this situation that they'd been let down not only by the person that's supposed to care for them more than anyone else in the world, their mother, but they were also let down by the authorities that are supposed to be trying to help them in an emergency situation. It shouldn't have taken this long. Ruby's sisters also have hundreds of thousands of followers, so they posted an Instagram statement that said, "For the last 3 years, we have kept quiet on the subject of our sister Ruby Frank for the sake of her children. Behind the public scene, we have done everything we could to try and make sure the kids were safe. We wouldn't feel right about moving forward with regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jody was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are now safe, which is the #1 priority." I've just got to say that statement of "we kept quiet for the last 3 years for the sake of the children" doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because keeping quiet wasn't helping the children. They were being abused, and if you were aware of that, how the fuck would being quiet somehow help them? How is that doing everything you can behind the scenes to keep them safe? That's doing nothing. That is literally the Simpsons meme of "we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas." Now, I guess it's possible they didn't know the extent of the abuse that the children were suffering, but even still, if you were aware of children being abused in any capacity, you should have been doing everything in your power to get the kids out of that situation. Being quiet doesn't get them out of the situation. That doesn't do anything to actually save them or keep them safe. You should have made a lot of noise and kept going to authorities over and over again, gathering as much evidence as possible to try and help those kids. And maybe they were. Like, this is, again, just a very short statement, so maybe they were. But them saying that they kept quiet for 3 years to keep them safe, it doesn't compute. Because that's not keeping the kids safe, that's keeping them locked in that prison with the monster. Now, as was mentioned by one of the daughters, there was a lot of attempts to get police and CPS involved that just didn't work. So it is possible that perhaps the sisters here were actively trying to do that and kept trying to get authorities involved unsuccessfully. It's just that saying you kept quiet for 3 years it really isn't clicking with me. I don't know why you would be quiet for 3 years if you were actively working to keep the kids safe. Let's imagine that one of the kids wasn't lucky enough to break free and escape through a window and get help from someone nearby. They'd still be tied up right now in that house, and you would still be being quiet. This fucking ridiculous silence is golden strategy didn't help the kids. The only person it helped was your sister, because it allowed her to keep abusing those children for 3 more years. And the only reason this even came crumbling down and she finally got arrested is because one of them broke free, covered in deep lacerations, and was able to get help so they could all be saved. Had that not happened, you would still be quiet and those kids would still be suffering. I know I'm getting pretty heated here, but this story is just infuriatingly evil. I am happy that Ruby and Jody have been arrested. I hope they get the absolute maximum sentence here. But I do still think there's other people that knew what was happening in that household that should also face very severe punishment for allowing that to happen and continue happening for as long as it did. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. That's about it. See ya. I'll just say it out loud with my whole chest. I love learning about useless, meaningless internet drama. It's one of those things where I spend an embarrassing amount of time reading every little niche tiff that a community has, going to every single facet of the internet, learning about what kind of controversy or what drama is happening over there. If I spent that same amount of time that I do reading about internet drama and instead spent that time learning useful skills, I would have been able to master like 5 different skills right now, like some really cool special things like juggling and clogging. But instead, I just learn about nonsense. It's my main vice, and it's more addicting than heroin, and I recognize that it's a pathetic hobby. It'd be less embarrassing if I just made fursuits in my spare time than read about internet drama. But regardless, the reason I'm talking about it today is because I recently watched Wavy Web Surf's new video on YouTubers that are in prison, and I was confident that I would know everyone that he was about to speak on, and I did know all of them except one. And that surprised me because the one I didn't know is really a fucked up situation that I feel most people probably weren't aware of, because when I look up this person's name, there's only one channel that's ever really talked about them at length, and that was Philip DeFranco. Now, Philip DeFranco talks about something Pay Money Wubby talked about, which was the really weird fetish of breastfeeding videos on YouTube, where it clearly wasn't educational and they weren't breastfeeding their kids for the sake of like getting them nutrients, you know, like the actual biological function of breastfeeding. They were filming this because it was fetish content to some really sick weirdos that were watching it. So he was focusing on the entire depraved community and only briefly mentioned the person we're about to talk about, Lee Felton. Lee Felton was once a piano teacher, but after her husband left her and her child, she then got desperate for money and started posting breastfeeding videos on YouTube that were clearly meant to be sexual. For those that don't know, YouTube has always had an exception to their nudity policy if the content is educational. And they used to have that for artistic expression as well, but that started getting abused. A lot of people recognized a loophole there where you could claim anything was artistic and then just have full nudity on YouTube. I remember a couple of classic bangers, such as the girl who opened a can of SpaghettiOs with her pussy and then like dumped the SpaghettiOs on the floor and called it modern art, or the absolute timeless masterpiece of the older woman who dressed in a morph suit but then cut the pussy out, so she just have her vagina on full display, and then she had a man pick her up and carry her around while she peed everywhere in a circle. So that was hype. And eventually YouTube recognized that this was getting abused, so they don't really have that exception for artistic nudity anymore, at least not like they used to, but it does still exist for educational content. So things like how to administer a breast exam, or like how to do a Brazilian wax. If you look up that kind of shit, you can find full nudity because it's people trying to educate, even though a lot of people will recognize there's bad actors here, once again just using that educational loophole for porn on the platform. But the point is, and there's also naked yoga on YouTube, fully nude yoga that they claim is educational on poses and how the human body reacts to the poses. I'm getting sidetracked. There is a loophole for nudity on the platform as long as it's educational. And Lee Felton, it took advantage of that. She started making this breastfeeding content where she just had her titties out and she'd have her child being breastfed. And she made a lot of content like that and then started to recognize that her audience wasn't women trying to learn how to breastfeed. It was creepy, absolute fucking worms that were watching her to jerk off. It was sexual. So she started to lean into it.
Lee reportedly made breastfeeding videos where she rubbed herself and her child down in oil and shoved her breasts in the baby's face. Lee would give her videos titles akin to something you might find on an adult website. Titles such as Slip and Slide and Mommy's a Whore. Jesus fucking Christ.
Jesus fucking Christ is right. So Lee Felton turned to the ultimate dark side. She was not only producing this pornographic material, but she was selling unlisted links to the videos to these absolute fucking degenerates. And you can clearly recognize the big problem here. She was producing pornography that involved an actual child.
According to reports, a Wisconsin man was apparently busted purchasing Lee's content by his wife, and after discovering the repulsive videos, the wife reported Lee Felton to authorities.
And hopefully the wife also left the husband, because that is an absolute unhinged weirdo, and hopefully he was also charged with purchasing child pornography, because that's what this shit is. You have porn that involves a child. It's child pornography. And initially she was facing an absolute grocery list here of charges: 34 counts of capital sexual battery, plus other charges of promoting a sexual performance by a child, possession of child pornography, and lewd and lascivious molestation, crimes that could have carried a life sentence, but she was only found guilty on one of the charges, which carried a 10-year sentence. Now, let's go over a little bit more of what Wavy Web Surf points out, which is how she defended these actions in the case.
During her trial, she would describe her videos as a, quote, silly little playful thing, and that she doesn't believe it's criminal.
A silly little playful thing, huh? Fucking menace. What a fiend. Oh, so goofy to produce porn that involves a child that is in your porn. Man, how wacky. Oh, wow, goodness graciously. This was her entire stance during the case, that it wasn't serious, and that she was also going through mental health struggles, which led to her doing this. She said that she had finally got attention that she had been craving for so long, so she leaned into it even further, but it was never serious, and it wasn't criminal or bad or anything. It was just a playful thing that she was also charging money for. That was clearly sexually charged, because a lot of the titles like Mommy's a Whore and Good Little Boy were being sold as the unlisted videos, but for some reason she still tried to play it off like, oh, it's just so silly, that's all, you guys are overreacting. That was her absolute lobotomized take during all of it. And her lawyers were just as smooth-brained. They tried to argue that everything she did was protected by free speech. I'm not even fucking kidding, I'm not making that up. They made this a free speech argument, that she should be able, and it's not criminal, for her to breastfeed her child in these sexually charged fetish videos because it's a free speech expression.
Lee Felton's defense attempted to argue that her breastfeeding videos fell under free speech protection, but nobody was buying this defense. A Tallahassee sheriff's lieutenant puts it best. Quote, "The video was clearly not done for the purpose of education or artistic display. Based on the content and the fact that it's being sold by Felton, it is clear this video is for sexual purposes."
Fucking obviously. This is not a free speech issue. I love free speech. I hate censorship. You know what this isn't? Free speech. And it's not censorship. You can't just use this as a catch-all term or defense like, what do you mean I can't dismember my neighbor when I'm upset? What about free speech, huh? Do we not live in a free country? I can't go over there and just fucking decapitate him? Come on. Are you serious? I don't want to live in a society where Lee Felton can't produce sexual breastfeeding videos for people to enjoy. Oh my goodness, what happened to free speech? It's fucking lunacy. It's absolute craziness that that's what they tried. But what's even more insulting is that it must have worked to some degree, because her charges, all 34 of them, she was found not guilty on, except for one. But that charge carried a 10-year sentence, so she is still spending a significant time behind bars, but not as long as she should, I would argue. She of course lost custody of her child, but I really don't understand why they reduced the sentence so much. There was overwhelming evidence against her, with tons of videos as well as tons of receipts of the videos being sold to like 40 or 50 different clients allegedly. Like that, I still feel like 10 years was a pretty light sentence for all of this, with all of that considered, but whatever. Anyway, just wanted to talk about this because I found this to be a pretty interesting story that I'd never heard of before, so huge hats off to Wavy Web Surf for finding this and talking about it, because this was a really interesting and really fucked up one. That's about it. So yeah. A big YouTuber named Eric Conover, almost 3 million subscribers, is facing a multitude of serious charges, including attempted murder. That's not Weenie Hut Jr. That's pretty high-level crime. If crime was Call of Duty, that would be pretty close to hitting prestige level. And he's spoken recently And he basically cut like a WWE promo, like, you got it all wrong, and if you ever question my mental competence, I will come snap you in half like a Kit Kat, I swear to God. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he did talk about how he would eviscerate anyone that questions his mental competence. It's really weird shit. He's claiming it's all a massive misunderstanding, but let's go ahead and set the stage here, the lore that you need to know. Eric is a very successful YouTuber whose content focuses on these luxury mansion tours. He goes and does all of these bougie real estate videos where he shows you these dreadfully overpriced locations. I can't believe I've never seen his channel. I wasn't familiar with him until this story because I have been so deep in that rabbit hole of consuming that content, of touring these ridiculously overpriced property that are just dog shit, where it's like a $55 million mansion tour. This house comes with sci-fi amenities. You walk in and it has a new mother. It cloned your previous mother. It also has an automaton that'll whip up a charcuterie board anytime you ask it to. The shower's made out of plutonium, platinum, and other rare earth minerals. The sink faucets are vibranium, and it also has this 15,000-year-old oak tree planted right in the middle to help with your chakras, that kind of garbage. He does those, that's like his bread and butter content, but I'd never seen him before. I didn't know about him until this story, which is surprising. But not nearly surprising as the crimes that he is accused of committing. So what happened is, an officer visually estimated that he was driving at speeds of around 55 to 60 in a zone where that was excessively fast, so he began to pursue Conover and managed to get him stopped through various maneuvers. The officer exited his vehicle and moved around to the rear of his cruiser, and Mr. Conover allegedly backed his vehicle, rapidly pointed it directly at the officer, and accelerated at him, striking him at a reasonably high rate of speed, and it was alleged that the officer flew between 20 and 40 feet. They also said, we're very fortunate that an amateur drone operator was in the air when he saw the interaction, was able to capture it on video. That video has not been released yet. I imagine it won't, because it's going to be a crucial piece of evidence in this, I would imagine. But I would also guess there's body cam footage too. Now, there is footage of the chase that's been released. It's very short footage filmed by someone who was nearby on rollerblades and just happened to capture him fleeing from the police, as well as some footage of the vehicle once they got it stopped. Eric is claiming that he is not the same Eric Conover police want for the attempted murder on that officer. Eric Conover, the YouTuber, is from New York, not New Jersey as authorities claim, stating, "This seems to be a massive misunderstanding. I'm exactly who I say I am. I'm a YouTuber." Now, we all know YouTubers are some of the most respected individuals on the planet. Their reputation is spotless, up there with like firefighters. So him saying that is a big deal. Also, he loves to mention how successful he is as a YouTuber. That's like a core part of his whole personality, even during all of this. He's also currently facing some DWI charges for an arrest that allegedly happened just days earlier, and then when he went to court, as I mentioned at the beginning, he put on quite the performance. He tried to be like the fucking Joker or something there. This guy, he was looking for some kind of Oscar nomination for some really over-the-top villainous acting. He looked unhinged.
Everything right here, and it's all been falsified.
Eric Conover had a lot to say before his arraignment this afternoon.
If anyone dares try to test my mental competence, I will eviscerate every single person with my intelligence right now. And
he's like Charles Xavier from Logan. His intelligence is so supreme he can blow us away with a single thought. This man is a transcendent being.
It's not being egotistical.
Police paperwork says the pursuit started after Conover was going 55 in a 35. After 8 miles, Conover stopped and an officer attempted to de-escalate the situation, but Conover allegedly drove at him and hit him in the leg and then sped off for another 28 miles.
Our Father who art in heaven.
The paperwork...
If I had to venture a guess here, when he got pulled over, he was probably drinking, didn't want another DUI, so he sped at the officer, hit the officer, and drove away. So, not exactly, jaywalking charges or an ounce of weed.
The officer was thrown 40 feet, suffering a leg injury. Conover is facing several charges, including attempted murder.
Mom, thank God, look at me!
Today in court, Conover was outspoken, claiming that he's a public figure because of his nearly 3 million subscribers on YouTube, and saying this was part of a, quote, police sting against him.
View of the police reports in this matter, denies these allegations. He does not agree with the reports as that they are stated.
The defense asked...
I'm very curious what he denies there. If he hit the officer, physically hit the officer with his car and drove away, that's kind of like a tough one to say that it's wrong. Like, no, that's fabricated. It's CGI. That wasn't me. It couldn't have been me. I'm 12 years old. I can't drive yet. Like, I don't even know what strategy he's trying to employ. Nah, he ran into my car. Oh, wait, maybe. Yeah, actually. No, you see, he ran at me, and he threw himself off of my car 40 feet. And then the jump scare was a lot, so I panicked and I drove away.
Police say he was arrested Friday night for a separate drunk driving charge, which Conover denies.
I've been sober from alcohol for 1,558 days, so to press me on a DUI, I'm a public figure.
The judge did hold Conover
Good defense.
in preventative detention. He's due back.
Yeah, Eric Conover's facing right down the pipe of a lot of things here. It's a laundry list. He's got the DWI, the attempted murder charge, the first-degree assault against a police officer, as well as second-degree assault, reckless conduct with a deadly weapon, conduct after an accident, disobeying an officer, and reckless driving. Man's out here trying to get the platinum trophy for crimes. This is a lot, and it's all very serious. And it seems like he's trying to claim all of the information is falsified, all of the evidence is hooey, it's a load of fucking dirty barnacles, they've got the wrong guy, it's a misunderstanding. He's a big successful YouTuber, it definitely wasn't him, this is truly just a big old mix-up. Now, from what I saw, over the last 10 or 11 days, he had been posting some very concerning stuff on Instagram, and his community was concerned for his mental state. Now, I don't mean to summon the wrath of Eric the Megamind himself right now. I know he said he'd eviscerate anyone that would do so. I'm hoping he won't tear my flesh from my bones using nothing but his intelligence, but it is something his community was worried about with the things he was posting on Instagram, and the one that I keep seeing pop up is this picture. Yeah, the pharmaceutical industry tried to gaslight me that I needed medication too, when all you need is some discipline of your emotional state. That didn't age super well. I don't think the emotional state was controlled optimally. Now, his community was saying that what he was holding was olanzapine, which is apparently used to treat either bipolar disorder or symptoms of schizophrenia, and people are saying that him being off of this medication is most likely the cause for the concerning posts and the spiral that he seems to have been in on Instagram. And while, of course, I'm no expert here, I would say that it does probably play a role in everything that has happened recently with him, as well as his behavior in the court at the hearing there. That kind of stuff is always pretty sad to me, where someone has medication for a very serious thing like that, and then they decide to stop, and then things just fucking spiral out of control for them. But anyway, very wild story here that I just wanted to talk about briefly. That's really about it. So yeah. It's been a long time coming, but we're finally reaching the point where annoying, destructive pranksters are getting arrested more and more frequently. It is glorious. I'm going to talk about someone that I know none of you have ever heard of. His name is Tommy Tough Knuckles. That's actually what he calls himself. Something an 11-year-old would have named themselves on Xbox Live in 2004. He's now been slapped with 8 criminal charges, a nice charcuterie board of consequences.
Kyle, you wanted attention, now you got it.
But Kyle Vasquez had trouble navigating all the attention at court today. Big trouble. First, an obscene gesture.
Hey, what are you doing? What? We're not doing that.
Yep, he's handling it exactly how you'd expect someone like him to. Like a bitch. I'll get into what landed him here in this pickle in a moment. What did they finally get on the infamous Tommy Tough Knuckles, the biggest, baddest guy on the playground? It is pathetic. This guy is a super loser. I still can't even believe he willingly chose to call himself Tommy Tough Knuckles at 21 years old. His name is Kyle. He made a conscious decision to go by Tommy Tough Knuckles like it's his fucking fursona or something, while looking like this. There's no way this goober has ever been in a scrappy situation. I highly doubt he's ever been in a fight. The only thing he's using those knuckles for is gripping his cock while sadly jerking himself to sleep at night.
And now to the arrest in Suffolk County of a prankster clamoring for online fame.
Yeah, 21-year-old Kyle Vasquez is accused of being behind a string of bizarre incidents in Center Reach and Selden that he allegedly recorded.
I'm Tommy Tough Knuckles, and I'm the reason why these egg prices are so high!
Police at a Chinese restaurant where police say he spilled the beans. The restaurant releasing this surveillance video to show what they were subjected to, all for likes on social media.
This is his bread and butter content where he just goes to random restaurants and businesses and makes a mess for them to clean up as he leaves and celebrates. So pouring beans on himself, eggs, milk, that kind of thing. And that's it. That's his prank. We get a peek behind the curtain here and get to see his cameraman friend. And he's just as much of a fucking douchebag weirdo as his prankster buddy. He's wearing sunglasses at night inside while filming this. I've said this a lot, and I do mean this. I think the life of a prankster's cameraman is even more sad than the prankster itself, because at least in a case like this, Tommy Tinkle Titties, whatever, he gets some money from it. The cameraman gets nothing. No one knows his name. He doesn't see a dime from it in almost every single one of these cases. He is literally the cuck that has to film his friend getting paid for garbage. Actually, how do you look yourself in the mirror and not feel immense shame for what a failure you are to end up in a position that you're filming Tommy Tough Knuckles pouring beans on himself in a restaurant and get nothing for it? It's such a waste. Like, you really need to reanalyze how you got to this point and make some serious changes, because it is pathetic. Now, he does a ton of these. These are the two that the news organizations kept playing, but he's got others, like Otozi showed his 15K special where he does the same shit with milk and then throws milk on some random woman that was walking by. But this trash was just the tip of the iceberg for Tommy Buttfuckles. He ended up doing a couple of videos where he would go up to strangers and say, like, he has an emergency, he urgently needs to use the bathroom, can they please let him use the bathroom? And people being nice actually did let him into their home to use the restroom after he told them all of this, and he was secretly filming them to humiliate them for their act of kindness.
But the felony counts were far worse, authorities telling us Vasquez unlawfully recorded 2 private homeowners with an undercover camera in Selden and Center Reach to mock them for allowing him inside.
Of recording these videos unlawfully and sharing them on social media.
I just need to use the bathroom. I got kicked out, yeah. I have like a bunch of felonies and stuff, so.
In this video, he jokes about having a criminal record. And while he profits from likes and views on his page,
You following me, bro?
Buddy ordered 5 cheeseburgers with a side of attention, and now he's really upset that that attention is being served to him. So the reporters being there is making him very mad. And in every clip that the reporters are there, he tries to, like, say, fuck you guys, and he, like, gives them the finger, and then the cop immediately brings him back down to earth by just towering over him and reminding him that he is just a tiny little worm. It is so cute, actually. Like, he wanted this attention so bad, and now he's crying about it. It's entirely his own fault for being a clout-obsessed goblin creature. Now he's made a bigger mess of his life than all of the eggs he poured on himself at restaurants and shit. He did it to himself. To secretly record people being nice after you've told them, like, you're going through something bad and really need to use the restroom is crazy. The prank was to humiliate people for being kind to you. Hey everyone, make fun of these fucking idiots for believing my story. I could have been a murderer. Everyone make fun of these guys. Ha ha ha. Dummies.
Tough Knuckles, not so tough as he then bolted from us at the courthouse. Free till his next court appearance, but shielded by friends who came here mostly to twerk.
Holy Toledo, did you see that sprinting speed from Tommy Buttfuckles? All the makings of a varsity athlete right there. What was that, a 10-second 40-yard dash? Heavens to Betsy. Right into the open arms of his supportive group of pals there. That look like you can smell them from across the room, these fucking dweebs. Busting out the gritty, ironically. Oh, God. Like,
surrounding yourself with just yes men enablers that are encouraging this behavior is just unhinged, man. I just don't understand why nobody in the meatball sub brigade over here could have sat Kyle down and told him to stop, that it's a terrible idea and it's a really piece of shit thing to do. All of his content, by the way, is just harassing normal people and businesses and employees. Like another prank that he loves to do is the friend stuck in the stall prank, where he would go up to workers at businesses and say that one of his friends is having an emergency in the bathroom and he's stuck. Can you go free him? So they would go in to try and free them. But it turns out no one was stuck in the bathroom. It was all there to make the employee look stupid. There was no one stuck in the bathroom. There was a friend in the other stall saying, "What are you doing? This is crazy. I'm going to sue you. Why are you coming in on the bathroom while I'm doing my business?" That kind of thing. Just all of his content is just harassing other people. And now the second that news is there saying like, "Hey Tommy, you got the attention you want. How is it feeling?" He has the gall to start getting an attitude about it. He even launched a GoFundMe for his legal defense. Keep the laughs coming. Kyle, the only laugh you've ever delivered is getting arrested. The laughs are coming because you've been arrested. No one wants to see that stop, man. This is the only good thing that you have ever done, is get fucking arrested. Like, that is the only time you've made anybody laugh, Kyle. Now, since his arrest, get this. These kind of pranks have stopped. He's playing things really safe. He's like eating food now for videos. Like, imagine that. If you actually punish someone's bad behavior, it stops. Wow. I can't fucking believe it. Anyway, I really hope this trend continues of finally starting to step in and stop this kind of dog shit. Because when you do start to give consequences to someone that's just endlessly harassing people in public for content, it stops it. It puts the kibosh on it. So let's keep doing that. That's really about it. See ya.
Boy, oh boy, do I have some good news for you today. It's time for a little holly jolly celebration because Santa Claus came early with the gifts. This loser has finally been arrested. Now, I'm sure none of you recognize this guy. This is probably not a face any of you have seen unless you're a woman in New York, and in that case, this is probably a face that you swiped left on Tinder for. But this is the face of the man known as Penguinz0, the infamous street racer who's blown up on Instagram and YouTube over the last few months. This isn't like a really stunning revelation, he just looks like a normal asshole. It's not like some kind of big twist like it's Bruce Wayne behind the Batman mask or anything. But I actually recently talked about Squeeze because he went on Neon's stream and did his street racing stunt maneuvers and ended up getting in a hit and run live on Kick. So of course I was making fun of him and tossing tomatoes, shouting boo. I think it is so incredibly lame to do the kind of shit that Penguinz0 was, where he'd just go out on public roads and put everyone's lives in danger around him, just driving fast and recklessly for his content. And this is a criminal who is addicted to attention, which has to be the worst combination for a human being ever. If you are a criminal, the last thing that you would want is a lot of eyes on you. But this guy, Jiminy Christmas, he was absorbing it like a sponge in a sink. This guy was more addicted to attention than a heroin addict is to the needle. This guy couldn't get enough of it, so he took every opportunity imaginable to promote himself. So this was always inevitable. He was either going to get arrested or get himself or someone else killed. Luckily, he was arrested before the second thing happened. Now, before really diving into the weeds of the arrest here and everything around it, I want to show you a little bit more of the lore to Squeeze, so you can get a big taste of the cringe that is Penguinz0.
You mix danger, but there's also other people at risk when you do that. Innocent civilians. So what do you think about the element of danger for that?
I've been doing this since real shit since I was 9. I used to take my dad's car out and I used to just bug out. I've been doing this for so long now that I feel like I did some professional.
This guy must have found a moron potion at some point in his life and he has not been able to break the curse. The effects still linger. He did an interview with Tommy G, a very popular video, over 8 million views here, where he's revealing some pretty sensitive information really, all while acknowledging that he's one of the most wanted people in the area by the authorities. How stupid can you be? He's going on a press tour here to promote himself, while actively engaging in illegal activity and putting himself in as many places as possible, giving authorities all the evidence they could ever require. He also has the gall to call himself a professional. He is a talented driver, no doubt, but the only thing he's a professional at is not dying. That's it. He's going out there and gambling with everyone's lives and his own, and nothing beyond that. He's not a professional at anything, he's just currently surviving, is all.
That's how I drive. There's been incidents where I've gone out with people and they tried keeping up with me and they've crashed.
How fast do you go?
I mean, there's been a video online where I've gone one-handed 210 miles an hour.
Filming with one hand, driving with the other, 210 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's insane. Did that scare you?
Not really, just to build up a tolerance of just speed.
Do you feel like the police watch your Instagram?
100%, they do.
Let's pop in the...
100% they do, which is why I'm doing all of these interviews to help them in their pursuit. It reminds me of this classic story where the police put out a post on Facebook asking for information about a woman who was an accessory to a murder, and the woman they were looking for actually commented on the post asking about the reward money that was being offered, and so they were able to find her because of that. Squeeze and that lady are two sides of the same coin. Just pure degenerate dummy. Anyway, though, he's finally been arrested after an incident that happened back in April where Squeeze allegedly made an illegal turn and proceeded to elude the police at high speeds. Then officers found videos of him committing various traffic violations throughout the tri-state area. Apparently the NYPD did a little fusion dance and a fist bump with another department, and they worked together and found Squeeze because he was wanted on other charges, including burglary, theft, conspiracy, and more. I was reading a couple of other reports where he allegedly punched a 20-year-old man in a deli. So I'm not exactly sure what all went down there, but ultimately it ended with him getting arrested and the NYPD commissioner taking a victory lap here and dunking on him on Twitter by saying Squeeze Binz is in custody thanks to New York's finest. And then he posted a picture of his Instagram with the word apprehended slapped across it there, as if it's some kind of like busted thing in Grand Theft Auto. So Antonio going from Squeeze Binz to Squeeze Minz here, being shoulder to shoulder squeezed into a cell with other dudes, hopefully. But there's no telling if he's actually going to face real prison time. It seems he's been released because after all of this, he did make an Instagram post about how he can't go live on there. So then he made a Twitch account, which I can't find. I do see a Squeeze Binz account there, but there's nothing on it, and I think that's just an impersonator trying to capitalize off of this. His original Instagram account appears to be banned, and the only one I can find is another one that appears to be an impersonator, but maybe it really is him. I have no fucking clue. I also can't help but giggle that he decided to make a Twitch account instead of a Kick account. Like, not even this blatant criminal who has already broadcast crimes on Kick wants to make an account over there and stream on purpose. He still decided to go to Twitch first and foremost. That's kind of crazy to me because Kick is the home of broadcasting illegal activity. They don't do shit about it there. They give you like a subtle thumbs up because it's driving more traffic to their site. That should be home turf for Antonio here. Squeeze Binz would be hoisted on their shoulders like a golden goose. And yet he still said, ew, I'll just go to Twitch instead. That boggles my mind a little bit. I did laugh when I read that he made a Twitch account. I wish they'd make an example out of him here. He's not like the only one doing this kind of content, the lone alpha wolf or anything here. This is a pretty popular niche of content online where people just put on a helmet or wear some kind of mask and then just commit crimes. And like taunt authorities driving around recklessly, endangering a bunch of innocent people's lives on the road for content and views on Instagram and YouTube and shit. He is far from the only one doing this. So I think if they would actually give a fuck here and pursue real serious charges and actual repercussions for his actions, it could help to dissuade others from pursuing this. At least I would hope. I would really like them to not play softball here and actually do something about this. He has been caught. Hand in the cookie jar here. He has all of this evidence that he himself has compiled about his crimes and how he's not remorseful and will always continue to do it, most likely. Why the fuck would you just give him a slap on the wrist? It's also more than the dangerous driving. He apparently beats people in delis, at least according to some of the reports here. Like, this is not someone that they should just be playing like patty cake with here and saying, hey, don't do it again. All right, now get out of here. Come on, scram. Like, this is something that they should be taking far, far more seriously. I really hope that his release is a temporary thing as they build up a meteor case against him, so that way he'll actually get thrown in the slammer. There's just no excuse for it at all. Just going onto public roads and compromising everyone's safety for your content, I just think it truly super sucks. And I think the fans of this kind of content are extraordinarily annoying. So there are still like squeeze bins enthusiasts that are losing sleep over this, thinking that he's done nothing wrong. Nobody got hurt, even though in his interview with Tommy G, he says that people have tried to emulate him and they have crashed. So people have literally gotten hurt. He also did get involved in a hit and run on stream, but whatever, I suppose. Just go ahead and ignore reality here and continue to live in fucking delusional Narnia land. But, you know, hey, they're squeeze bins guys. Of course they wear diapers and eat glue. Is what it is, I guess. But I'm just super happy that he's finally been arrested, and I can only hope that they do throw the book at him. So yeah, anyway, that's really about it. So yeah. I don't think there is a loser more degenerate, more pathetic than Johnny Somali. His lore is sadder than the ending to Marley and Me, and it's entirely by his own doing, in his insatiable appetite to be famous. Like, his clout obsession has created a terminal illness that has led him down this path that will most likely see him behind bars. And I say most likely, even though from everything I've read it is guaranteed he is going to jail for his new charge that he is now facing. It seems there's no wiggle room for him to squeak his way out of this one. His newest charge carries a mandatory prison sentence of up to 7 years in the slammer. It also happens to be like his 150th charge that he's currently facing in Korea right now. It's because every time he goes live, he asks for $5 donations to commit a new crime. So he is constantly just getting more. We're going to dive into this new charge in just a moment, but I just want to make a strong argument that Johnny Somali is the most pitiful soul that has ever entered the streaming space, period. He is the GOAT of cringe in streaming. He has one goal in life, one purpose, and he's not shy about it. All he wants is to be famous and rich through streaming. He is neither. He is only famous to people that like lolcows and love to make fun of him and throw, tomatoes at him and cover all of his degeneracy. His own community doesn't actually like him. They just really like the idea that they get to control this man's life and send it down the shitter. It's like when you're playing Sims and you tell your Sim to put their hand on a hot stove and it like catches them on fire. That's what his community does. They'll put like $5 donation there in order for him to break a law so they can watch him get arrested and ruin his life, or have him harass someone in public so that way he'll get his ass beat and they get to laugh at it. So that's his whole legacy. He's also not rich from it. He doesn't make much money through streaming. He makes just enough to survive and also travel to more places for the global ass-beating world tour that he goes on. But the people who cover him, like all of the streamers and YouTubers that make videos about him, they make thousands of dollars. He is actually a golden loot box. He is leading people to a treasure he himself cannot possess. It's almost poetic. He has thrown his whole life away, willingly just sacrificing his freedom for nothing. But it has helped all the people that make fun of him. He provides them with basically an endless source of content, endless source of revenue, because who doesn't want to tune in to the pathetic story of this wild specimen of degeneracy, while he himself gets nothing. He doesn't even get morsels, crumbs, nothing. No attention, no money from it. It's unbelievable. You cannot write someone more pathetic than Johnny Somali. But anyway, let's go over his most recent charge here. Yep, he's guaranteed prison time. That's the good news. It's big, very big. I tried to refrain from diving too deep into it on my own so we could learn together on stream. But this is for the AI deepfakes he was making. This is the mandatory prison sentence, which I recall people were saying would likely be the case because of how seriously they take it. The controversial American live streamer notorious for his brazen antics and public disruptions is guaranteed to face prison time in South Korea. A fifth and most severe charge violating the country's Special Act on Sexual Violence Crimes has obliterated any remaining hope for leniency. The days of online infamy are over. For Somali, the virtual stage that once gave him global attention has been replaced by the harsh reality of legal consequences. They make it sound like he was actually popular. He never has been. The only people who know about him are people like me who follow lolcows. Almost nobody, as like a stream watcher, a viewer, will have ever heard of his name. He never even got global attention. The attention he got was the locals of the countries he would visit beating his ass because he would constantly be disrespecting them and making a huge scene every time he went out. This is kind of just going over a lot of what we've already gone over. Here we go. This goes more into the deepfakes.
Prosecutors revealed that Somali is now facing charges violating the South Korea Special Act on Sexual Violence Crimes. The charges stem from an AI-generated deepfake video that depicted popular Korean streamer Bong Bong in fabricated intimate scenes with Somali. That's something we talked about as well, and a lot of people mentioned that they take that shit very, very seriously, and that seems to be the case. Under South Korean law, the creation, distribution, or possession of non-consensual AI-generated explicit content is classified as sexual crime. Woof! Legal experts have confirmed that this offense carries a mandatory prison sentence up to 7 years. Unlike the previous charges, which allowed for financial penalties, this particular crime eliminates the possibility of a mere fine. This is not simply an issue of digital mischief, explained a legal analyst, Legal Mindset. This is a serious sexual offense, and South Korea's court will treat it as such. When deepfakes are weaponized to humiliate or defame, the legal system responds with severe consequences. What a fucking W. Oh, what a W. And again, another thing to make big mention of, this is one charge. Keep in mind, he has also pled guilty to other charges carrying a minimum of 5 to 10 years. But this one is a guaranteed prison sentence up to 7 years. I guess we don't know exactly how long it'll be. And he still has more charges to come. He just got new charges when he got arrested on stream the other day. So he is still collecting these puppies like the Infinity Stones. When it's all said and done, this guy actually could end up with like 30, 35 years in the slammer. All for like a crumb. A tiny tiddlywink of internet attention. It's unbelievable. It's a bold statement, but I'm going to make it. I think he is probably the most degenerate lolcow. At least in terms of like the consequences he's facing for being the lolcow. You know what I mean? Chris Chan is inarguably the GOAT of lolcows. No one will ever beat that. But not even Chris Chan received punishment to this level that Johnny Somali is. He's also going to get tried as a repeat offender with all the recent stuff too. I keep seeing that, but I don't know if that's confirmed. It sounds reasonable, like that sounds right. South Korea has cemented its reputation as a global leader in combating digital sex crimes. The country's strict laws were forfeited following a series of high-profile cases involving sexually explicit deepfakes and online harassment. In 2024, lawmakers passed legislation criminalizing the possession and viewing of non-consensual deepfake content. The penalties are unyielding. Offenders face up to 3 years in prison or fines reaching 30 million won, or 22.6k. Distributing or profiting from such content carries even harsher consequences, with sentences up to 7 years behind bars, which is what Johnny Somali's facing. South Korean society, still healing from past cases of cyber exploitation, has shown little patience for perpetrators like Somali. That is an understatement. They beat his ass every single time he goes live. They literally had a UAV online where they'd track him, follow him, and beat him. Oh yeah, they were fucking spawn camping him. In one of his streams, I already showed the clip multiple times, but in one of his streams, he literally leaves his hotel, and right after he gets out of his hotel, he just gets his ass beat. It's like GTA RP when you leave the hospital, but your ops are still waiting. It was so good. And this is just going over what we already talked about when he went to court. He went to court beyond hungover and just being extremely disrespectful. He was over an hour late. Yeah, we already went over all that. Also, we're coming up on his next appearance in court. It's next week, I believe. What would this guy even do? You're probably not familiar with his face because usually it's face down in some concrete after getting his ass beat. But he's an IRL streamer whose entire content was just breaking laws on stream for like donations and just being racist to everyone in every country he'd visit, trying to provoke them into a confrontation, and then he'd get his ass beat and cry about it. He did this in many places. Most notably before Korea was Japan. And that's just been his whole content. His viewers goad him into breaking more laws for their own entertainment, their own amusement, watching him throw away his life. And he does it with a big smile on his face, drinking himself into a coma every night on stream. It's fascinating. He doesn't stream on Kick. Kick doesn't even let him on there. He streams on Party. And even Party fucking banned him. I think they took the ban back, like he's allowed to stream again, but even Party, which I didn't even know they had ban features over there, they banned him for a little bit. That's right, another TikTok prankster is going to jail.
This is not another one of those disappointing cases where these weenies get arrested, but it's just like this foreplay that ends with a slap on the wrist and no real repercussions. They have been sentenced. He will be seeing the inside of a jail cell, going to the Slammer, the Thunderdome, baby. We are entering the golden age of pranks, where all these turbo dork-ass losers are finally getting consequences for these pranks, which pranking has basically just become synonymous with terrorism. They're not pranks. They just actively harm as many people around them as possible, just being a detriment to the entire world. This miasma of fucking cringe. A plague sweeping through due to a terminal clout obsession. This is an update to someone I covered like 6 or 7 months ago. His name's Wolfie. His whole online presence was dedicated to harassing strangers, throwing things at strangers at a mall, including like a dead bird and shit. But the one that got him arrested and will now be landing him in jail is where he attempted to poison people for a prank.
Social media influencer accused of spraying bug killer on food at a Valley Walmart, then posting the video of him committing the crime online, was just sentenced to 1 year in prison. 28-year-old Charles Smith said in court that it was all supposed to be a prank, but the judge didn't see it that way.
There is no sane human being on the planet that would see biological warfare like this as a prank, just some kind of goof. All just a practical joke, Your Honor. You just don't understand. It's lunacy. He poisoned so much food that actually could have just killed people. And then he tried to, like, make it right after a lot of people contacted authorities, so he did go back and try and get the food off the shelves and, like, get it away from people. But it took a little bit. The food could have easily been purchased by someone in that time, and he still contaminated other surrounding items, including the bins that they were in. So if any other food would ever go in there, or if like a kid would go by and touch it, they would then be subjected to a potential contamination from the poison that he was spraying on all of it. It is unhinged. And as was mentioned in the broadcast there, he has been sentenced to 1 year in prison. I think it's a little lenient, considering this is just a career criminal that just happens to film all of their crimes for money online, generating some online updoots from absolute fucking cretins that find this content entertaining. I think he got off really easy, all things considered here, but I still think this is cause for celebration, so get the nipple clamps and tap dancing shoes on, because we've got a little something to be joyful about, that he will be going to jail.
I'd just like to formally apologize for my actions from last year and that I've become a better person.
Charles Smith, also known as Wolfie Party on social media, saying in court he is sorry for this video. Taken in December at this Mesa Walmart, where police say he stole a can of bug killer and recorded himself spraying it all over fruits, vegetables, and rotisserie chickens.
Buddy is singing here. Anything to reduce the time he'll spend behind bars, so he's trying to issue an apology here. He drops the classic line, the most meaningless platitude you've heard a million times before, about how he's become a better person now than who he was a year ago when he was poisoning all that food, and all the times that he was harassing strangers and potentially hurting strangers for his pranks and all the crimes he committed. He's grown a lot. He actually bought a V-Bucks gift card and gave it to an orphanage, I heard. So he has gone through quite the character arc, from poisoning people, trying to pile up corpses for his prank online, to being the saint we see before us now.
This crime was absolutely outrageous and exceedingly dangerous.
Which is why he was arrested, charged, and ultimately pleaded guilty to poisoning. But that wasn't the only charge Smith was facing in court. Smith is known for these kinds of videos on social media. Others include what appears to be him locking people inside a Goodwill, throwing food at people at the mall, and even throwing a dead bird at fast food workers. He was facing charges related to theft at a Mesa Bosa Donuts and for causing more than $10,000 of damage at a Valley laundromat.
You can't judge a man by his entire life and obsession with internet attention so he can make money off of crimes that he commits. You instead have to judge him by his one-sentence apology and claim that he's changed. That is clearly a changed man. He said so.
We believe we found that video on his Instagram. That appears to show him put raw meat and eggs into an unsuspecting customer's laundry machine with their clothes.
These videos are pranks.
These so-called pranks, posted online, also made Smith up to $10,000 a month, according to arrest documents.
And that right there is the tough pill to swallow, the sad reality of it. The reason a lot of pathetic worms like this guy exist and do this shit is because it is incredibly lucrative. They're able to fill their piggy banks because there are tons of brainless drones that watch that content for some reason. All because it's just bad. Like, whoa, you can't put bacon in a laundry machine, a washing machine with eggs. Who's ever heard of that? This guy's unhinged. What a menace. This guy's a menace. Holy shit, I can't wait to see the next one. What's he gonna do next? And they are able to really soak up a ton of clams from that shit. So, that's why so many of these pranksters exist. $10,000 a month is a huge chunk of change. That puts them up there with like a doctor's salary from putting eggs and bacon in washing machines and then going to fast food workers and like ruining their shift, throwing things at people at the mall, poisoning people. Like, that is why there are so many of these destructive losers, because they're able to make a lot of money off it. It's crazy how normalized it's become. I have no doubt that Wolfie there really is so deluded that he thought those could be perceived as pranks. Like, that would be a legitimate defense. This is actually protected under fair use. It's a parody. These are parody pranks. They're pranks. They're pranks. You can't be. Why are you getting mad about pranks? It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm poisoning people, but it's a joke. Like, yeah, I'm like throwing things at people and like actively putting people in harm's way and harassing them, but I'm doing it because it's a joke. Why are you getting so mad? It's a prank.
You're going to go out into the community and you're going to harm others, film them, put it online, and then profit off of it. That warrants punishment.
Smith's attorney told the judge that his client has taken responsibility for his actions and understands these aren't pranks.
What he did was not funny, and that's not how he should behave. He wants to turn a new leaf. He wants to get off this social media thing.
Objection. I know I'm not there in court arguing here, but your client just said that they are pranks. He himself just said they are pranks. And now the statement is coming out that he knows they're not pranks. Who's lying here? Someone's getting caught in a web of fibs. Those two statements can't both exist at the same time. There is something fishy afoot here. To be fair, though, that statement does come from the reporter, not the one representing him, so maybe he didn't say that he knows they're not pranks, because that would be very contradictory if that is what he said, because his client just said the exact opposite. But then he goes on to say how he understands that they're not, like, humorous or anything, and he wants to turn a new leaf. Okay, great. Go to jail, spend some time in jail, come out of jail, and not be that same fucking loser that went in there in the first place. That sounds great. I think it should be longer than a year because, again, he has made an entire career out of committing crimes for money and filmed all of it. A year sounds like they were really light on him, especially considering how dangerous some of them were, especially the poisoning one.
Then Smith talked about why he makes these kinds of videos.
Social media has definitely took over my brain and made me do things that is abnormal.
That was dangerously close to an honest statement right there. Social media definitely did take over his brain. It does that for a lot of people. It puts a fucking, parasite in there that's pulling all the levers in your neurons, and it makes it very enticing to do what Wolfie did, because it's very easy to make money doing it. However, it didn't force him to. He made the decision to do this and keep doing it, committing these crimes over and over and over again, treating people as subhuman props for his videos that he could exploit and harass and put in danger. Social media didn't make him do that. He made that choice. But yes, he is right. It did make it very appealing because of the money he stood to make doing it. Because there are tons of people before him that have done this very similar stuff and made tons of money without going to jail. But it seems like we're finally entering an era where there is going to be a crackdown on this kind of behavior, and that is such a good thing. That is a great direction. I hope we can keep going in that direction.
The judge sentenced Smith to 1 year in prison, followed by 3 years supervised probation. She also said for those stores that were damaged, they can ask for restitution.
Do not return to any Walmart. Don't return to any Bosa Donuts.
Anyway, though, I just wanted to give you this little update here to this prankster. That's really about it. So, yeah. Yes, I've seen everything that's been happening with the Liver King recently. This is someone that I've talked about over the years, and recently it's pretty clear something has happened to his mental. It's downright sad and scary, actually. He got arrested like 2 days ago now for making terroristic threats against Joe Rogan, even going so far as to travel to Austin, seemingly with the sole purpose of attacking him, or, in his words, challenging him and fighting him honorably.
Anything and everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore. All of this is happening. We're coming to you. I've challenged you man to man to a fight. Honorable. And we don't have to pretend or make any videos. The world is watching. They'll make the videos for us. And you don't have to hold a camera. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what happens next to you, you're going to need to remember that feeling. You're going to need something more than what you did.
He's going around feral on all fours here, and then mentions how he's going to need the hand of a loved one to remember that feeling for what he did. But it's never clear where this even really comes from. People can only speculate and come up with game theories on what even started this in the first place, but it's very concerning behavior here. Like, the videos he's posted reminds me of the Joker tape from The Dark Knight. It feels like he's perpetually trying to cut a WWE promo targeting Joe Rogan here, but when he's doing these call-outs, it really does seem like an extreme threat against Joe Rogan's life, and a lot of it is incomprehensible. So a ton of like non sequiturs jumping all over the place, so it's incoherent. So it'll be like, you and I are gonna fight one-on-one, this is a formal challenge, pugilistic, the old-fashioned way. I'm gonna come over there, I'm gonna rip those giant nipples right off your chest, those cow udders, I'm gonna wipe my whole ass with them, and then have you ever had a dream that you thought you had and you wanted and you didn't do anything? I think it's very clear that there is actually a serious problem that he is facing, mentally, that is. I don't know how long it's been happening. I haven't kept up with the Liver King as much as I did during like the whole steroid thing, but it is very concerning. And even when it's not about Joe Rogan, his posts are just generally alarming.
I'm gonna make a quick video to weigh myself right now. In case you didn't know, I take shits on the ground. This is where I lay in the shower. I lay here on the ground. That's my enema bucket. That's my enema bucket right there. And that's what I'm about to do, is I'm gonna try and get a shit worked out. But I'm gonna weigh myself so that it's official.
No idea why his face was all cut up or why he's trying to drop the official shit statistics here and pooping on the ground and weighing himself for preparation of the poop. It's the reason I'm even showing like these moments is because all of this has built up to what's happened with him being arrested for the terroristic threats against Joe Rogan. And even though he got arrested and he has since been released after the arrest with an ankle monitor, he is continuing to make the threats. Literally like 15 minutes after being released, he went and started posting more videos making threats against him.
Good morning, primals. From the vibration plate of the greatest state in the world, Austin, Texas. Texas is the state, just to be clear. Bags under my eyes, haven't slept a whole lot. And it's been an amazing gift. When you fracture the physical, don't sleep, don't eat much, drink much. You go deeper into something else. You gotta maybe express something else. Something else. Ask me what the password is to Wi-Fi. I can't wait to share it.
He's made more than just this video here, but I think this one really encapsulates everything that he's kind of been posting. He did make another video going on all fours in the hotel hallway, allegedly, but that one's been deleted, or at the very least, I can't find it. But in this one, you can see when he's rambling here, the thoughts aren't connected. He doesn't look well. Now, I'm not here to try and like say it's all because of his diet. He ate so much raw meat, raw nutsack and testicles that he used to love to preach about, and he gave himself brainworms, and now this is the result. I have no clue what's actually led to this. All I know is that there is something seriously wrong. He is supposed to be undergoing psychiatric evaluation to check his mental state. Joe Rogan has said that he's never even really had any interaction with Liver King. So no one really knows what started all of this and why. But he is not planning on stopping anytime soon with trying to find and fight Joe Rogan, from the sound of things.
We're gonna go somewhere today here in Austin. If anybody knows where Seth Rogen's, the other version of him that rhymes with blow, if anyone knows where its family's going to be today, if you could let my team know so that we can stay within 200 yards, not close to them, to stay away from them. Oh, please, actually, I redact that. Don't do anything to their family.
That's crazy. Basically, like trying to get the UAV online here to locate him and his family to be aware of at all times. He then goes to try and wipe that from the record about like, no, don't do that. We just want to make sure that I'm not violating the restraining order. Wink, wink is kind of the impression there. It is a really odd thing to hear. And it's not like he needed to post this video. He could have not posted it.
This thing will help me make certain. You know how good that feels on the ankle? That part where it bounces, jiggles like that? Making my ankle strong for that. I'm picking a fight. Who's it with? Seth Rogen. It's with Seth Rogen. And what's it for? Family.
Now he's saying Seth Rogen now because he can't explicitly say Joe Rogan, but he does say like the other Rogan, you know, that rhymes with blow, Joe Blow, you know, that kind of thing. So he's now trying to like wiggle around the restrictions here by throwing Seth Rogen under the bus. He's dropping the primal titties on him here now, saying like it's with Seth Rogen, but he means Joe. And I have to imagine posting these kind of videos isn't helping his case. He is continuing to make the same threats that landed him in jail in the first place. Now, it's not just his mentality that seems to have been like poisoned and rotting and whatever's going on there. His body, there is something going on with like his entire being. In some of the videos he's posted, like he looks so unwell physically. Like in this video, for example, this is another video where he explicitly says, I'm calling you out, Joe Rogan, I'm picking a fight with you, and he's holding 2 weapons. Look at his stomach. It's distended and his belly button looks like a prolapsed anus. His whole torso looks inflamed and infected. That belly button, though, I'm pretty confident is an umbilical hernia. It seems like his intestines are desperately trying to leave the battle bus here through his belly button. That cannot be healthy. Like, it looks like in Left 4 Dead right before the boomer blows up, but he's not, like, fat. I think it's just, like, so much juice or something here. I don't know. But it does not look normal. So, yeah, the Liver King update here is a sad one, because I remember when it came out about all the steroids he used, he made a big statement about, like, you know, he wasn't happy about it, and he wanted to make that change. And it doesn't seem like that ever happened, and things have only gotten worse for him. I do genuinely hope he gets the help that he needs here, because it is something he is going to need professional help with, I imagine. And overall, just a very concerning spiral here from Liver King. Just wanted to talk about it briefly. That's really about it. So, yeah.